Welcome, everyone, to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Allie Hutchinson. I'm a staff minister at OCSL. My pronouns are she and they, and I will be your host tonight for our Wednesday night Oasis service. Oasis is a place where we gather together as a community midweek to be spiritually refreshed. Most Wednesday night services build on the theme of the previous Sunday, sharing science and mind principles and practices with the intention that these gatherings be informal, intimate, and interactive. Our annual theme in Centers for Spiritual Living in 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. And our monthly theme for August, which we're continuing with tonight, is Love's Descent. Last Sunday, one of our practitioners, Dr. Suzanne Dubois, introduced ideas inspired by that week's theme, Love's Descent. And tonight, our speaker will continue the exploration of that same topic. If you're new to our community or to watching our recording, please visit our website at oaklandcsl.org and click on the I'm New icon. Look at the lower left-hand corner of that page to submit your email address, and you'll begin receiving our newsletter weekly, the Village News. It has all the information about what's going on in our center in the coming weeks. Before we get started with the talk, if you're here, please mute your microphone, which will improve the quality of our transmission and our recording. And then please stay tuned through the end of the service to hear several important announcements. Our speaker tonight is Maude Wilson. Maude is a chaplain, a ritual artist, a grief and end-of-life doula. She's been a lay practitioner within the Centers for Spiritual Living for the past 15 years. Maude has a Master of Arts degree in Historical and Cultural Studies of Religion from the Graduate Theological Union. She spent 17 years producing events for corporate and cultural arts organizations, always focusing on creating safe and sacred spaces for sacred rituals that could support families with being fully present with their loved ones during the sacred dying process. She currently serves as chaplain at the Center for Elder Independence, and she facilitates a community support group focused on growing through grief. Maude is a lifetime learner, a world traveler, a multi-passionate creative, and a spiritual seeker. You can find out more about Maude and her work at bookachaplain.com. So thank you in advance, Maude, for being our speaker tonight. But before you begin, we always start with prayer. So I would invite everyone to just settle with me wherever you find yourself. Take a couple of deep breaths to allow yourself to let the day sort of drift away. Find that slightly quieter place inside. There we know that there is only that one presence, that one power, that one mind, that creative force that has created everything around us and everything that is in us, that has created us in its image. Just having all of the qualities of that one spirit, that infinite love and peace and joy, the creativity, the intelligence, the divine order, all of those infinite qualities present right where we are, in full, waiting for us to simply open and to receive and to allow those qualities to be fully expressed through us in each moment. Each one of us simply a unique manifestation of that one infinite perfection. Knowing that, we know that this service tonight is simply another part of that divine perfection of harmony and balance and oneness. It is truly blessed, and it blesses each person who participates in it in any way by helping to create it or through your presence, whether that presence is here tonight on Zoom or at some point in the distant future. Each one of us simply participating in that sublime oneness. And knowing that that is the spiritual truth of each one of us, we know that our meeting is blessed, that that oneness we experience will be just carried with us as we go into our daily life. It'll inform our speaker, Maude, who is simply a channel for that infinite wisdom, that infinite creative, peaceful, joyful presence. And that presence will touch each person who hears her voice tonight. And in gratitude for knowing that that is our spiritual truth, I simply close this prayer by saying that all of our intentions to experience this fully are simply spoken into the law that only says yes and begins to arrange reality in accordance with our intentions. So I let go, I let spirit, knowing that we can trust that. And I anchor this prayer by saying, and so it is. So, Maude, I think we've introduced you and we've prayed you up, so we're ready to hear whatever you have to share with us tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that beautiful prayer. And first, I want to thank Reverend Sunshine for having me, inviting me here tonight, and thank all of you for allowing me to be in conversation with you tonight or in the future as we unpack this week's discussion topic, Love's Descent. So I spent the last couple of weeks exploring CSL's suggested readings and discussion topics and thinking about the relevance of those topics and trying to figure out and unpacking love's descent and what does that mean and what does it mean to come back to love and to steep into love and to allow love to lead the way and all of those things. So I looked at how is that showing up in my life and what areas in my life are those readings out picturing. And tonight I want to share some of those readings. And I also want to share some of the juice that I've been able to squeeze out of them for my own personal evolution and growth. And then later I want to open up the circle and hear from you, some of your reflections and whether any of these points spoke to you and how are they showing up in your personal experience. And so CSL begins the explanation of what they mean when they say love's descent by setting this intention. They say, conclude your journey with a gentle descent, reflecting on the lessons learned and grounding them into your everyday life. Embrace the landing of love as a continuous process of growth and renewal. So as I considered this intention, I reflected on, a profound lesson. One of the lessons that came to me over the course of this year from some of the work that I've been doing as a chaplain. I reflected on, how suffering, being around suffering for an extended period of time on a daily basis and, going in and out of different people's experiences of suffering from, in various degrees, and how experiencing all of this suffering, in essence, basically brought me back to a deeper desire to love. It brought me back to this place of seeking a deeper way of being in love with the world and being in love with people and giving my love and receiving love and loving the people who are closest to me even more deeply and holding those people tightly. And so it was really a profound experience for me to be immersed in suffering and then to be taken back to love. And so I feel like that descent into love is exactly what I've been up to this year. And one of the discussion points that helped to guide my reflection around my thinking on these topics, it speaks about cause and effect. And it says cause and effect. It's a simple yet profound concept. When we create causes aligned with wholeness, the effects will be beneficial for all life. If our lives produce effects that aren't advantageous to ourselves or those around us, we must return to the root causes within ourselves. Descending into love involves more than self care, it encompasses care for all life. The invitation is to embrace our connection with all beings and recognize our impact. Everything we do influences the world, from where we shop and travel to what we eat, how we speak to others, the waste we produce, and even the most fleeting thoughts. We cannot separate ourselves from the world. Our existence is intertwined. We matter and impact lives simply by being alive. Have we paused to consider how our actions affect our homes, families, communities, and the world? Whether through our spending choices, our votes, our posts on social media, our actions touch the lives of others. This realization is a burden and a responsibility that we all share. And so, as I was thinking about the cause and effect comment or statement, I was thinking and looking at my life in this past year and exploring some of the things that I've set in motion, some of the causes that I've set in motion. And one of the most profound things that I did set in motion early on was this desire. I went into chaplaincy. I basically, for this past year, I've been immersed in providing pastoral care for patients in acute care hospitals. And so, I've been experiencing, people on cancer journeys in my outpatient experience. I've been experiencing people who are coming back to the hospital in a crisis because their treatment might not have been working. I've been experiencing going on code blues when people are coding in their room and they're basically their heart stopped and all of the repercussions of what that looks like. So I've been immersed in this year long of experiencing some of people's moments of trauma, some of people's moments of pain, some of people's moments of suffering. And during that time, I went into this with this deep desire to relieve people's suffering. I had this vision, I had this mission of going into these patients' rooms, going into these people's rooms and allowing them, holding my hands out and giving them the opportunity to unburden, just let it out, to let whatever it is within you that's holding you back, that's holding you down, that's causing you pain, that's causing you suffering, let it out. I will take it and I will take it out of this room. And that was my original intention. And with that intention, I'm sure you can imagine that there were many, many times where I was really overwhelmed with some of the things that I was witnessing, some of the things that I was carrying out of people's rooms. And I was attempting to carry it out and quickly I recognized that I did not create a plan for how to release what I had taken out of the room. Where do I put it now? I've taken some of these things out of the room, what people were willing to unburden and give to me, and I took it out and I didn't really drop it anywhere. I took it with me. I took it home with me. I went to sleep with it. I brushed my teeth with it. I took it from certain people's rooms and brought it into other people's rooms because I was carrying some of that suffering and some of that pain that I was taking off of other people. And I was making the suffering my own is what I came to identify a little bit early on in the process. I took my patient's pain home and I superimposed my face on it. There's a patient who I'm hearing about her cancer journey, and she's explaining to me how she lost a lot of weight in a short amount of time, and that was a side effect of this type of cancer that she has now. And so I took that fear with me and then I tried it on for myself. And I thought about over the course of, these 6 months that I had been in the program or so, I had lost weight too. And I was, now I'm taking the fear and I'm turning it into my head. I'm turning it in my head and I'm wondering, is it mine? Is this the same path? Am I on the same path? Is there cancer inside of me? And I'm taking this fear right along with me and I'm taking it into the chamber and I'm allowing it to just be all up inside of me. It was trapped in my I was trapped in my own mind by that person's fear. And then another time when I witnessed one of a young adult young lady passed away and her mom was there and I was supporting her mother at the time that her daughter died. And I'm just like opening my hands. Give it to me. Give it to me. And she's giving it to me. She's unburdening. She's letting it out. She's crying. She's hysterical. She's having this horror. She's demonstrating how horrible the feeling is of losing her child. And I took that fear home with me. And I have a young adult daughter who was around the same age as this young woman. And I started to grab a hold of my daughter so tightly with my hands so tight and I'm calling her all the time and I'm worried about her and I'm thinking that she could lose her life at any given moment and look at the state of the world and all of these things. And I tried on this other woman's fear and I took it inside of myself and I held it. And then another time, I'm sitting with one of the women who have become one of my favorite people to visit. I experienced 3 or 4 months with her on her cancer journey, and she's unburdening, and she's telling me that she had just found out she has less than 10 years to live. And how is she going to tell her 14-year-old son that this is her reality, that this is their reality, and she won't be with him anymore? And, she's experiencing all the pain of what that might look like and worried about him. And what is this life going to be like? And I took that with me and I took it home and I started to contemplate, if my life ended now, if I ended soon, how catastrophic would that be to my family? What would their lives be like? And so I'm taking her fear and I'm turning it into my own. I'm trying it on for size and I am living with it as my own. I took the suffering home. I put my face on it and took their faces off of it. I developed, dread in my stomach because I'm stressed out about who am I going to go see next and how catastrophic is that going to be, and I'm going to try and take it with me, and I don't know what to do with it. And you know, in my desire to um, rid people of their suffering or give them an outlet, allow them a space to be able to release their suffering. In so doing, that I recognized at some point that I was martyring myself. I was allowing myself to give to take someone else's broken wing for my healthy wing. I was taking on their suffering and making it mine, thinking that I could hold it. For some reason, I could hold it, even though I don't want them to hold it. And I was recognizing that I was becoming a martyr. I was doing this to myself. Um, and one of the discussion points from this week's reading is on suffering. And it says awareness of suffering. Awareness of suffering doesn't create suffering. Awareness of suffering offers an opportunity to right the direction and attitude of our attention, thoughts, and beliefs. Suffering isn't comfortable, whether it's our own suffering or the suffering of others. But that temporary discomfort of coming to terms with the suffering in and around us opens the door to liberation. Giving suffering our attention will not fan the flame of suffering. It is a necessary part of our individual and collective growth and healing. We must know what isn't working, what isn't in alignment with our highest good. We must know if something that we are doing, saying, or choosing has caused hardships for others. It is in this awareness of the suffering in our lives that we can begin to turn the trajectory of our living. And so during this residency, I was really becoming extremely conscious of the amount of suffering that's happening in the world with people around me. close to me, in my world, in my wheelhouse. And also a part of this year of chaplaincy, I was a part of a cohort of 6. So there were 6 of us who, as we were out in the field doing this work, we were also coming back together and meeting twice a week to unpack what we've been experiencing, to unpack some of our patient encounters, to unpack some of the pain that we've been experiencing, to unpack some of the trauma that we've experienced, some of the vicarious trauma that we've experiencing, and what I consider some of the vicarious suffering that we had also been experiencing. And so we could spend these 2 days a week reflecting self-reflection, but engaging other people in doing that. So I was self-reflecting with these 5 other people on my self-imposed martyrdom and how I had been harming myself by not making it a really important part of my work to also release the suffering that I had been trying to take out of these patients' rooms. And there was one moment where one of the self-care things that I do, activities, actions that I do is moving meditation, where I just walk, I do a power walk, and I'm contemplating life. I'm assessing what I'm feeling. I'm trying to give name to what I'm feeling. I'm trying to recognize where the feelings are coming from, what they're associated with. Are they directly connected to what I think they're connected to, and all of those sorts of things. So I'm having one of these moving meditation experiences. And I thought back to a question that I used to ask myself when I would be overwhelmed with, you know, emotions, when I would be overwhelmed with some feeling of jealousy, or I would be overwhelmed with some emotional pain, or I would be in this state of anger and I couldn't get out of it, or I would be in this place of vengeance, or I want to, retaliate because someone did something to me. And a couple of these questions that I would ask myself, one of them was, what would my next action be if I came from love? And the second question was, what would I do now if I let love lead the way? And one of my favorite Ernest Holmes quotes says something to the effect of, love goes before us and makes our path clear. And in this week's reading, Ernest Holmes wrote, love points the way and law makes the way possible. While the law remains constant and unwavering, we have the power to influence what guides us on our journey. Love is a powerful force that can illuminate our path, but it's important to recognize that other emotions, such as jealousy, hatred, contempt, can also point the way. These feelings can lead us down harmful paths, shaping our experiences in ways that may not serve our highest good. And so I was recognizing through this, reading, that I had been allowing fear to lead the way, not love. I had been allowing fear, I had been allowing the suffering that I was trying to carry out to lead my path. I had gotten all the way off track and was leading from fear. And so during that Saturday morning meditation, um, the realization came to me that the world is filled with people who are suffering. Suffering has been around, I'm sure, as long as people have been around. Losses are a part of life. Losses come when we step out and choose to live our lives as fully as we can. If we step into a new career seeking some sort of fulfillment, when we step into new relationships, seeking to find a partner that can match our energy, that can build us up in the ways that we build them up. When we continuously seek to excavate and to dig deep and to pull apart our own traumas and to dissect our own biases and to attempt continuous evolution and growth, as we continue to do these things, as we continue to live, it's inevitable that losses will come. It's inevitable that fear will arise. It's inevitable that pain will happen. All of these things are natural points of living. And so I can't eliminate any of these things for anyone, not even necessarily myself. But what I can do is I can step into love and to treat my life in a way that love guides the way. So what I can do is I can see the descent of love. I could see love's descent as divine self-care, divine self-love, reminding me that I can provide divine self-love for myself by tending to my own grief, by finding and looking for and exploring and digging and making space for ways to release the things that I carry out of these rooms, to not take them home, to not try them on for size, to not make them mine, to respect myself, to love myself as much as I am seeking to give love to other people by taking their suffering away, by attempting to take their suffering away. That's my way of loving the patients that I see on a daily basis. And by tending to the grief, by tending to the fear, by tending to the losses, by recognizing that these losses will come, by validating my own feelings, by respecting my own pain, by tending to the grief that comes from these losses, I am in essence allowing love to lead the path and make my path clear. I'm allowing it to make my path clear so that I might walk clearly and freely without carrying anyone else's pain. And I can walk into these rooms and give more love and be the container to hold people's unburdening, to allow them to unburden, and then to take that out and to lay that on the altar, to give it to God, to give it to God. And so every day that I leave my job, in between patients, I take moments to give that burden to God, to give that suffering to God, to unburden myself, to get it off of me so that I can continue to walk in love, that I can settle into love, that I can continue to step into a new relationship in love when I just lost one. When I can continue to step into a new patient's room with love when I have just left another patient's room and feeling a little bit heavy from what that experience has had. And so I recognize that I can't relieve anyone's suffering. What I can do is I can witness, and in that witness, sometimes people get the opportunity to speak it, to get it out of their bodies, to release it, to unload it, and I can carry it out of the room. And because I am applying divine self-love, I can then release that burden myself and allow myself to walk free and clear. And so the thing that I just want to, some of the things that came to me around love that I'll end with is love is the way to joy. Love is the way to fulfillment. Love is the way through suffering. Love is the way maker. Love is the heart healer. Love is God. God is love. Love makes life enjoyable. So let love go before us and make our pathways clear. And so now I just want to open up the circle to just kind of hear from you and to give you the opportunity to consider some of the readings that I've called out, to think about what love means, to just sit in love, to allow love to go before you and clear your path. You know, how does that resonate? What does that bring up for you, in all the ways that it does?
And y'all can turn on your cameras if you like to talk, unmute, and if you know how to raise your hand on Zoom, do that. If not, just wave at us and we'll find you. Did anybody have any comments, questions?
Yeah, I'll go. Let me also put myself up here.
Yay.
Sorry, I know it's a lot. Usually I'm just doing this behind the scenes. Okay. I loved your talk, and a lot of it like really resonated with me kind of throughout the entire story. I feel very similar to you, and I think being empaths, just like wanting to be with people and really connect with them, but feeling more like a sponge, just taking in everything and taking it with us, but we only like have so much capacity, and I'm trying to be more like a net where things are passing through and you're just taking what you need and you can
Mhm.
still move on but not just take so much. But I definitely resonated with that. And then also like just sitting with people, because at the end of the day, like they just want space to vent and to be, and just providing that space with someone, and then taking what they're saying and then passing that on to God and spirit and the universe, because they can handle it. It's a lot for us, but just passing it on and just providing that space. That I loved all of it. It was just really helpful. Yeah.
Yay, yay. Thank you. Yes,
I
releasing.
was I was thinking about the thing they say about if you see someone drowning, the best thing is not necessarily to jump in with them to throw them a life thing or a long pole or like once you're in there with them, you're both in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh, Anybody else? I liked what you said, Freddie, about being an empath, because there is an amount of management you have to do, not to notice and not to take on. And I find working with people often find that sometimes it feels like the kind thing, the loving thing is to feel it with them and feel responsible for what they're feeling. And like you've got to fix it when you can't do that. and,
Mhm,
and there's that subtle difference between being responsible for their feelings or feeling responsible for their feelings and being separate and feeling empathy. And
mhm.
there's a lot of strength in being separate for them, and being separate and being grounded and just being empathetic. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. The difference between sympathy and empathy, huh? Like it's a big difference to be able to just witness and hold space versus jumping in the jumping in the water with them, like you said. Yeah.
Okay, so one of my high points as a parent, Freddie may have heard this before. I don't know if I said this before here, but like, unfortunately, it was with the second child. It was while she was having a temper tantrum, sitting on the floor in the middle of the grocery store in the frozen food aisle, just on my phone waiting. People passing by and going, "Hey, we're good."
Uh-huh. Nice. That was good for that kid. Yeah, to have you there,
Hey,
be able
hey,
to,
yeah,
go crazy on, not go get hysterical right along with them. Yeah,
to
yeah,
have their moment and learn how to deal with it within themselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But have that, like what you're doing for your patients, have that strong person next to them who can remind them of their strength, right?
And it was really just, I didn't think that, when you witness so many difficult things, um, it's really amazing when it leads you back to love, like, you know, I that was a really a surprise.
Yeah.
I mean, a beautiful surprise, because I think that has enabled me to be able to continue on, to continue to do the work, because otherwise, you know, recognizing that, um, there is so much suffering in the world, but there is also so much joy, and remembering to come back to the joy and to make time for joy. Like, I'm consciously making time to sit with people in pain, and it's important for me to make time to go out there and laugh and have fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really
Mm.
important. Mhm.
Yeah, moving away from what's temporary and ephemeral to what's underlying that's real and doesn't ever change.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody else have any thoughts, questions, comments? Let's see, Megan.
Sorry, I was trying to.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for your talk. Very much resonated with me. Um, Very similar type of work, heavy work. Um, and I see patients in the home, so it's a little bit more intense because you're finding yourself not only trying to
Mm,
navigate those spaces for patients, but also witnessing all of the aspects of family dynamics and how that plays out in the home environment are limitations to care, things that people just don't have access to for whatever reason.
Mhm.
So yeah, making space for them is what it sound like you were saying. Not bringing everything home, which is hard when you're dealing with, very sensitive life and death issues and raw emotion. You usually finding people at their worst point. Um, but also that same self-compassion, making space for ourselves. I think that, we hear it all the time in healthcare, and it's kind of cliche, compassion burnout, that it's expected. It's almost expected because of the just the nature of the work. So yeah, like
mm,
making sure that there's that time, and then also with whatever else life throws at you. Come home from
Mhm.
heavy work day and then got to put on your mom hat or whatever other responsibility. So that's a big one for me that I'm learning more and more, especially with my oldest leaving the home, trying to
Mhm.
balance that
Yeah.
aspect of how to be a mom with this person who doesn't want me to be a mom anymore.
Yeah, I thought that was the hardest part of parenting, like 20 to 25.
Yeah, yeah, she's 20, so it's a very weird feeling to not have that day to day and then whatever balancing the work. So that's the
Yeah.
same, like self compassion. And for me, it's the big no word, learning how to say no. Like you just can't add anything
Yeah.
else to what you're doing. Just say no, because I'm
Yeah.
the first person to say, okay, let me figure out how I can do this, or how else can I help you, or how else. And then, by the end of the week, and thank God, my husband is good at that. He's better with boundaries. Like, don't say that, this is too much. You say yes. And then, so yeah,
Mm,
I appreciated your talk a lot. I was debating logging on, trying to finish my work, but I did definitely needed to hear that, and it was beautiful. So thank you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah.
So what are some of the self-care things that you do, if you don't mind sharing?
Um, I do yoga as much as
Mhm.
I can, at least a few times a week. I like to walk my dogs, and I like to walk them on the water. Um, that's very grounding for me because I usually do it in the morning. Well, most of the time in the morning. I don't work on Fridays, so I'll do like a hour and a half walk after the kids are at school, and it's quiet and no, like,
Nice.
there's not a lot of people there yet. And then I just find like moving my body, meditating, journaling, prayer, of course. I drive so much that I will listen to like not a meditation per se, but just different things like grounding practices, certain podcasts that are really about mindfulness and compassion and wellness, and uh, that kind of keeps me grounded throughout my day, my day to day.
Beautiful.
For
Great
a
thing.
second, you said meditating while driving. I'm like, you are multitasking.
No, 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 not meditating, but there are certain things you
Yeah.
listen to that's more like energizing versus kind of calming. So it's more
Yeah.
like talking about different.
Yeah. Sounds great. Got a good plan. I love it.
And reaching out to the people in your life, you know,
Mm.
I think thinking about what's going on in the world, it feels especially important that we are shoring up our connections with folks, you know. And then I have that friend who'll I don't get depressed often, but I was telling her I was feeling depressed today. And she looks at me and she's known me for like 30 years. And she looks at me and goes, "You only get depressed when you're tired. Go take a nap."
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And yes, yes, calling upon those people who offer,
Yeah.
what each friend has to offer in terms of how
Yes.
they support you and, what they might spark. This person might be, more for laughter, and this person,
Yeah.
know how to pray me up when I don't know how to pray for myself. And yes, touching on those people. And that's definitely a really important thing. Mhm.
Just had a vision of like a garden with all these different flowers, you know.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
all smell lovely and nice and different. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? They're thinking. Uh, well, another thought I had was about the idea of love and what people were talking about with boundaries and stuff, and seeing
Mhm.
boundaries as a form of love. Because what I found is like if you have trouble setting boundaries, there tends to be a lot. You tend to do it with anger when you do it a little bit, and
Yeah.
or if you don't do it, there's resentment. It's like when you're really clean with your boundaries,
Mhm.
there's a sense of safety there. You know you're gonna be okay, and then
Yeah.
whatever is going on for that other person, you can be in a much more open place to be really empathetic.
Yeah. Yeah. And the boundary is, the loving of yourself.
Yeah,
You're quick to do something for other people. And so remembering to do it for yourself.
yeah,
When
loving
you
yourself and them.
exactly, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm, mm. Sustainability? Ah, you can't do the work without taking care of yourself. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
Well,
important. Yeah, because like Megan, how you're saying the compassion fatigue and just burning out, it's yeah, got to take care of yourself too. And that's also something I'm working with. So yeah, y'all are tonight is great.
Speaking your language, huh? Yes.
well, I keep going back to that one of our principles being that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Like
Mm,
we're still having a human experience. There is such a thing as secondary trauma,
yes. Yeah.
and however spiritual we are, we have to acknowledge where our human self is struggling a little bit. Take care
Mhm.
of ourselves.
Mhm.
Bring it to love, like you said.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, mm. Does anybody else want to bring up anything at all? We're getting close to the time for our announcements, but I don't want to stop anybody.
Maude, this is Dorothy Mendez. I am a retired nurse, and I just want you to be careful in taking on a lot. Don't forget about yourself, sweetheart. I've been there, done that, okay? And
Yeah.
I know it's not an easy task, but you have to remember to put you first
Mhm.
so that you can move through that to help someone else.
Yes.
So I applaud what you're doing, but I also want you to be careful
Yes, ma'am.
and not forget about you, sweetheart. Thank you.
Thank you so much for saying that. Yes, I am recentering myself in my life and yeah, setting those boundaries for myself, you know? And yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Thank you for the reminder.
So we may transition, I think, to announcements in a minute. I'm wondering, do we have anybody, practitioner or anybody else who feels like praying us out tonight at the end? Any volunteers? I can do it if not. And looks like I win. All right. So let's give some love to Maude because that was a wonderful talk tonight.
Thank you. Thank you
Just
everybody for being on and for, yeah, talking, sharing and
kind of immersed us in love tonight.
yes.
All right. So let me move into our announcements, pull those up. So this Sunday, September 7th, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, our senior minister, will be speaking on What's the Point Anyway? The meditation starts at 10, followed by the service at 10:30. On Wednesday, September 10th, next Wednesday, join Aaron Stewart for our midweek Oasis service for an encore discussion on the topic, What's the Point Anyway? As tonight, the meditation is at 6:30 and the service is at 7, all on Zoom. You can get your tickets for the 80th anniversary gala on September 20th. We have various ticket options available, and there are also limited community tickets available for those in need of financial assistance. So contact Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman at Reverend Sunshine or Rev Sunshine at oaklandcsl.org and visit the website events page for more information. The third of 6 sessions of the Women's Spiritual Empowerment Group is going to be on Sunday, September 14th, after the service. It's a 6-week session, and all women in the community are welcome to attend, and women identified. Please join the Ministry of Prayer for Friday Night Prayer Happy Hour. It is now to be offered twice a month on the first and third Friday. Come on September 5th and 19th from 7 to 8 p.m. on Zoom. Practitioners Maureen Milena and Megan Lemon are your hosts to help you anchor in prayer. And please visit the events page on the website, click on the image for the happy hour, and use the passcode 411797. The Social Justice Ministry meets on September 7th, 1 to 3 p.m. in the Social Hall, the first Sunday of the month, as usual. Gabriella Conde is gathering volunteers for various tasks at the anniversary gala, like table setup ahead of time of the event and breakdown on Sunday afterwards, registration table, greeters, ushers, etc. So please send your interest to info@oaklandcsl.org and put in the subject line Gala Volunteers. And thank you in advance for your support. Last call, we're collecting shout outs to celebrate our 80th anniversary. Stop by and meet Rev Deb on Sunday, September 7th, after the service in the courtyard to record your video message of love, memories, congratulations for OCSL. Or you can record your own short video greeting and mail it to info@oaklandcsl.org. or upload it on the website on the events page. Contact Reverend Deb at myrootconnections@gmail.com with any questions you might have. And the deadline to submit your own video is September 10th. So let's help make OCSL make this milestone even more unforgettable. Our nonprofit partner for September and October is Planting Justice. Planting Justice is working toward economic and environmental justice by building a network of sustainable land-based social enterprises. They counter systemic oppression, violence, and inequity by creating good jobs with nature-based work, a healing environment with holistic community support, and real opportunities for personal growth. Get more information by visiting their website at plantingjustice.org. And the Spirit Treasure Bookstore is celebrating September with a make an offer table. We're clearing out so they can bring in new books and merchandise. And then also, please let us know what you want in the bookstore by writing to bookstore@oaklandcsl.org or add your suggestions to the sign-up sheet at the cash register. So, in a sort of an environment, an attitude of celebration and gratitude, we are ready to move into our conscious giving time. Conscious giving is a celebration, it's an expression of gratitude, and it's a spiritual practice. In giving, we celebrate our community and express gratitude for all the people that give of their time, talent, and treasure to sustain it and make us successful. We also acknowledge our place in the universal flow of power and abundance and put our own intentions for greater experiences of abundance into action. So, in that spirit, please follow along as I read our giving affirmation. And if your microphone is muted, please feel free to read aloud. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies this offering. It blesses all that I am, all that I give, and all that I circulate. Thank you, love, as me. And so it is. And if you'd like to donate, you can go to our webpage and click on the red icon, the donate button. It'll bring you to a page where you have information about all sorts of different ways to give by cash, check, Zelle, QR code, text, whatever you like. And now we'd like to show our appreciation for those who have offered their time, talent, and presence to tonight's service. Our speaker, Maude Wilson, our tech host, Freddie Lambright, our administrative coordinator, Steve Carter, who worked behind the scenes preparing the slide and doing other things. And now we will simply close with a closing prayer. So I invite you all to simply take a breath, get quiet, in your own way, connect with that awareness inside of that oneness that we all share as we come together tonight. The oneness we experience in our community, those who meet regularly at OCSL, and those who meet with us online, and all the folks who are part of our community and don't even know it yet, but will show up. So knowing that we are bound in that sense of oneness, that one love, that one joy, that one creativity, that one peace. In that space, we offer gratitude for tonight's service, for this opportunity to come together. And knowing that that sense of oneness will follow us as we go out into the world and touch each person we come in contact with in our daily lives, that each person will be touched by that extra little bit of love that we have brought into our awareness, into our being as a result of Maud's talk tonight. In gratitude for that, I speak my word into the law. I allow the law to work its magic on our intentions. I simply turn it over to Spirit and anchor this prayer by saying, so it is. And if you'd all like to turn on your cameras and say goodbye, You can do that too.